This is Pattern Practice.
What's up, dude?
What's up? We could go all sorts of places. I could tell you about Codex. Surely you are thrilled with the state of cleancoffee.app.
Hmm.
I don't know
I
if
have
you looked at any of the hard work I did. We could go all sorts of directions.
I haven't looked at it at all. I'd love a demo. I think that would be pretty fun, especially if you could share your screen. I think that could be cool. We could even maybe talk about Lean Coffee a little bit while we go through it. But before that, I have a quick funny
Yeah,
story if you're
sure.
interested.
Of course.
And no need to engage. No need to engage deeply. It's going to sound like a problem because it is an existing problem and it's a little in your wheelhouse, I guess I'll say. But I'm not trying to solve it as of this call. I'm just going to couch it with that ahead of time. It's just for entertainment purposes only. So, my wife has been trying to connect to her work VPN from home, I guess. And I don't know, she like works remotely, so I don't really know what the utility of the VPN is for her exactly, like what she's trying to access at work via the VPN. But anyway, she's trying to access the VPN at work. She can connect to the VPN, but then has no internet access once she connects. She was working with her IT guy at work who, after some troubleshooting, basically blamed our ISP. And so I took that as like bullshit because I don't think it's our ISP at all. I'm able to use VPNs and stuff. It's not like our ISP is like blocking the use of VPNs. But, anyway, she called the ISP today anyway, and they were like, oh, we could come out and replace your router. And if that doesn't work, then you can buy a third-party router. And I was like, no fucking way are we going through with any of that. Don't invite them here. There's no point. I have no confidence whatsoever that that's going to help you. This is a total, fucking red herring. And so I was kind of troubleshooting on my own with ChatGPT and stuff, learning a little bit of like the jargon and whatnot. And, then it's funny because after she talked to ISP, they had like restarted our internet and my PC, I guess, was choking on that because I was in a call with some work people and my internet kept dropping. This was like 2 hours after we had our internet restarted. And I was like explaining to them the same story I'm telling you at the time. And I was like, and ever since they restarted my internet, now my internet keeps failing on me. It's just like sputtering out. And so I had to restart my computer because I literally couldn't even talk during that call. I was like losing my internet. But then somebody from our cloud team reached out to me directly and was like, hey, man, you want some help troubleshooting that VPN issue? Because I used to do this for a living. I used to troubleshoot VPNs. And so I've got, my coworker helping me troubleshoot my wife's VPN issue. And he's still kind of helping me and sending me some messages and giving me some recommendations. I think at like the very least, what I'm looking for personally out of that exchange, not out of this exchange, is like the right things to say to my wife's IT department to be like, fuck you, buddy. This is on you and your configuration. Make it work. It's tough to not talk to people like I talk to ChatGPT anymore or Klein or whatever, like, no, it doesn't work. Make it work is really what I want to do. But humans, they can counter you and stuff. They're not as obedient as the LLMs. But anyway, that's the situation. I just thought you'd find it, mildly entertaining.
That is entertaining. Also, my favorite thing to do to language models is to just send them a frown, send them frown parentheses, and just send just that, because the lack of context like does something to it that like fixes it usually. So if it's like not what you wanted, you just send a frown, and it's like, man, what do I do?
Yeah, I've told you about this recently. I don't know if we recorded it, but I thought it was interesting because I'd never seen it before. Like I asked ChatGPT a question and I was like, that seems silly. I think you're wrong. And it was like, yeah, okay, my bad. And then it went through and like on screen walked me through its thinking steps. Like it was like popping up little modals, asking itself certain questions, saying what it was searching and thinking about, and then coming. And it was like incredible how much harder it thinks after you're like, no, that's wrong. It's like, I'm sorry, let me take way more care and try again.
Let me give you that model Joe's been using nonstop.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like it
Yeah.
gives you like a little taste of it, right? I have no idea how ChatGPT handles like its free access, because I know that I've definitely throttled myself a few times to like a lower model just because I kept asking too many questions on a subject, or I've dumped in maybe too much context, like I was sharing photos or videos or something, asking it to find something or tell me about a problem. And that one was new to me. I thought it was interesting. I was like, well, how did I even get access to this?
Yeah,
I've never paid you a
that's
dime.
you experienced a reasoning model in that case then,
Mm-hmm.
because that's I use that one all the time by default, and I use it for everything. I'm like, is McDonald's open today? Like I just,
So I have a friend that is kind of dying on the hill currently of like LLMs just being purely language prediction in its like purest form, which I understand that's kind of what it is. It's like the response is kind of like, oh, it's just making up whatever it tells you. And I'm like, well, it's really interesting to me that if I say, ask it, cause it was like, oh yeah, broken clock is right twice a day. And I was like, I don't know. To me, it's more like fantastic clock is still wrong maybe twice a day or something for me, at least in my experience. Like, yeah, it's not infallible, but the utility is like way so far beyond non-zero. It's foolish to say it's zero. And I was like, even for simple stuff, like if I'm like, oh hey, I want to visit Yellowstone, what are some like cool spots to check out while I'm there? This is the kind of stuff that I'm into. It might give me like 9 awesome recommendations and one kind of bullshit recommendation. Bullshit only because maybe it's something that used to be a thing but is now like closed, or something has changed, or it might even full on hallucinate. I'm not saying it can't, but with the response being like, well, it's just guessing, like it's just making up everything entirely, and I'm like, well, I don't know, that's kind of I think that's disingenuous, because even if it's only predicting the most likely next word to be said, I feel like that in and of itself is something valuable. Like knowing what the very next word is leading to me getting some really useful outcomes. So I don't know. I think that's kind of a bullshit argument. But then beyond that even, because I keep getting this thing of like, it's not like it's searching. It's not like it's, searching the internet and stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, for one,
it
Grok
does
like
now.
literally tells you like all of the tweets and stuff that it's looking at. So it is searching the internet. And I'm pretty sure that ChatGPT is doing something similar, whether or not it
It
tells you its
can.
sources, or it can. And then you get to deep research and it's like, it is absolutely, it is objectively, like it is searching. It is
I've got a
definitely
list of
searching
100
resources.
sources. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, sorry, I just had to get that out, and now I can go and make that same argument to the. I haven't had
Well,
time,
so
because we
so
had other
a
questions.
couple things. If you can't figure out how to say a thing to a person, language models are good at formatting it
That's
and
funny.
translating
Yeah.
your raw thought into something that's likely to land if you can give enough
Mm-hmm.
context about the landing you're expecting. It could probably help troubleshoot VPN too. But language
I
models
was
are
using it
hallucinating.
to troubleshoot VPN.
Language models uh, do suffer from hallucination when you're treating them like an encyclopedia, but they've been, at least for me, spectacular when you're transforming context, where you're not asking a question, you're demanding a transformation. You're saying, given chapter 6 of Robert Keegan's In Over Our Head, enumerate for me the blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's not hopefully going to get it right. It's like, what did, you know, turn this into that. It's basically language trends, like English to Spanish, you know?
Right.
If you trust that it goes English to Spanish pretty well, it's pretty good at English to English.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you trust a language model to do language acrobatics, and it's pretty good at it.
Yes. Now, fact acrobatics are a little tough, but like if you transform this into that, it's pretty damn good. But yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so hey, you want to hear
Hey.
about what I did with clean coffee?
Yeah. Let me see.
Okay, so I was promising, I was like, okay, guys, I'll fix it, I'll fix it, I'll fix it. And like the reason I wasn't is because my like local environment was just F. Like I didn't have a way to even develop it because like I was using Gitpod and that's like on now. And then I set up Coolify and I can't run Supabase on Coolify except I figured out how. So now I've got Supabase running on the host and then my code server instance that I reach from a browser in a container proxies slash API to the host, and it works. And it's like, awesome. Not for you, for me. And so the reason I bothered finally is because I got a hold of Codex, OpenAI's new asynchronous tasking system. There's a whole suite of them coming out. There's OpenAI has Codex. Google just released Jules. I think Claude there was like a Taskmaster project or something. The idea is instead of being in an IDE, your interface is just, you connect it to a repo and you make a demand. And then it just does it. And then you can hit apply if you want. And so my use case was, I got Codex. I'm like, okay, you know, I have like 12 things I've been promising these poor people at book club. Let me go ahead and knock these out. Number one, I should just go through the list.
Yeah.
But I was like, number one, can you go? Let me see if I actually want to show this screen. Yeah, I do. This is, no, let me see. Can I adjust a window? Oh, I can. Okay. Then I don't hate this. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna share screen. I'm going to show you Codex. Did you see anything? Did it work?
Yeah, I see the infinite window.
All right. Check it out.
Boom.
Check it out. Okay.
What are we coding next?
So, guess I'm in the corner now. Whatever. So here's the interface, right? And I connected my GitHub to it, and then you just ask it to do something. And so here's all the stuff I've asked it to do. I was like, hey, those buttons at the top? Put them on the side, because they're stupid up there. They always belong to the sidebar. And you know what? This voting system is awful, and the creator never used it. So we're going to move back to what I've been calling normal ass voting.
Normal ass
that's
voting.
where you have the votes act in a normal way that lean coffee works, and no one hates it.
Right.
So it moved the buttons to the sidebar pretty good, and I had to fix the spacing a little, and then I merged it, and then it nailed the voting. I merged that one. It just did. I was like, archive my insane approach, and hard coded it 8, and it did. Sent it, merged, and I was like, fix the deploy failure. I don't know why this isn't working, and it did, merged. And then I was like, disable voting after. There was a thing where when vote wait is present outside of the to discuss list, we freeze the board.
Yeah.
Everyone hated that. That's gone now.
All right.
People can always take their votes back, but that's every single system.
Yeah.
Add client side filter drop down. Oh, now you can filter by week. You can filter by default. It shows all of them. I got to go make that the case. It's not right now, but you show all the cards, and then you can filter and be like, show me only ones from this week, which gives you a fresh board every time you do a retro. How lovely is that?
That's freaking awesome.
That's freaking awesome. I know. Refactor app design for minimalism. I was like, make it beautiful. I made it too tight. It's stupid. Make it pretty. It's gorgeous now. Fix the download. Oh, that was more deploy failures. This is the only one I didn't do because I was trying to make it write its own agent file. Whatever. And then I was like, okay, make the sidebar mobile first. Add drag and drop. And then I have one here where I'm like, make the drag and drop prettier. And so this is what it looks like now.
Okay. Still pretty similar so far. Oh, cool. It's in a little sidebar drawer that you can hide. That's so much cleaner. It's actually clean coffee. The drag and drop is just... I love that you said it just one shot drag and drop. No
it's
problem.
Just one shot the drag and drop. I mean, I told it what to do. I was like, go use this library, but then it effing did. So great. And
That's
what's
funny.
even greater?
So you still have your little buttons, but you can drag and drop anyway.
And check it out. It looks great on mobile, right? It pops all the way out. It's good on mobile now. And then mobile also, if you you can't simulate it with the mouse, but if you long press without using the mouse on your phone right now, if you long press, you can drag. Pretty cool, huh?
Do we not have book club this week?
No, it is a holiday.
Oh yeah, holiday week. Okay.
Yeah, holiday weekend. I'm actually taking Friday off. Anytime there's a weekend holiday, I take the opposite day off to get that sweet 4-for-1.
You do it all the time?
Every single time there is a holiday on a Monday or a Friday, I take the Monday or the Friday off. Opposite.
Doesn't that
Yeah.
make you like an abuser or something? Like what? Isn't that, what if everybody did that? Can everybody do that?
Everybody should. What are you talking about? What's your question?
Just the whole company should just take off. We should just do 4-day weekends when we get 3-day weekends.
Well, not operations, but yeah, no, not the 24/7 support team, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyone
Slippery
anyone
slope, it
who's not on
seems.
call should do that. Yes, what's your question? You think
Yeah, I
they
don't
should work
know. Well,
Saturdays too? Like, what are you talking about?
because then if everybody gets 4 days off, then you're like, oh, I actually take the day before the 4-day weekend. I get a 5-day weekend, and it's like, well, why doesn't everybody do that? Then everybody gets a 5-day weekend, and and so on until
No, you're making up a fake scenario. I'm talking
I don't
about
know.
if there's
It
a
just sounds. I've
holiday,
always
you
thought that
take
the
off the other
people.
side.
I don't know. I've always thought that the people who do that are taking advantage of the situation, and you know they're getting their 4-day weekends, but other people have to work. And if everybody were to just do what you're saying, then the companies wouldn't operate for that extra day that you're taking off. You're basically either everybody gets it off, or the people that take it off are just taking advantage of the situation. Was what I like thought. It's kind of my take on it. Like, I don't often do that. It is a nice thing to do, on occasion, where. But the only thing that made me press is because you said every time it happens, I
Yeah.
go and take advantage of the situation. I'm like, well, if everybody did that, then what you're talking about is just making every 3-day weekend a 4-day weekend, and
Well,
rinse repeat. Like I said,
I wouldn't make it policy. You just should, though.
yeah, yeah. It's
I,
like
I also have
unethical life
permissive
hack.
PTO. I can take as much PTO as I want. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
No, I
also
get
work
it.
in a team of one, so I super don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just
I guess if I was
just that. Just
managing
having
people, it would be kind of weird, but even then, like,
well,
it still wouldn't matter. All of them should
I
take the day
think
off.
I think maybe you should always do it, especially given your specific circumstances. It sounds like a nice little way to go. I don't know if it's good universal advice, I guess is what I'm saying. A lot of people do work on teams. And if you're in a team, I've seen a lot of PTO policies where like a team has it so like, not everybody can take off the same day at the same time. And so it's like, oh, so you have the one person who's always scoring themselves a 4-day weekend because they go and make sure they request off all of those days, but it leaves the rest of the team with like, oh, okay, I guess I never get a 4-day weekend out of a
Oh, no,
3-day
if you have to
weekend
take
because
turns, it would be rude. But if you're in a real company, you can just fuck off whenever you please.
right, right, or in a real position in any
A
company or
position,
something
yeah.
like that.
You have to be at a real position at a real company. You have to check both of those boxes, and then you can take PTO like an adult.
Right, and at that point, why not just take a 4-day weekend whenever you want? Like no
I
need to.
can. I
Yeah,
just choose to budget this way.
yeah. Anyway, that was a good segue. So when I'm using this app now, everything was accessible to me. I just clicked the link, our classic link. Everything looks like it's here, although there's no cards. I guess you didn't
Well,
migrate.
there's no cards because by default I have you on this week for the filter. I'm going to move that back to all is going to be the default. Hit the hamburger and change it to all.
Oh, I see. Ooh, that's
Yeah.
fun. Okay,
Well,
and so
because
that's
like now,
create
and
a
maybe I'm going
create
to
a
have
day
it be like
filter,
it's
right?
set to whatever you last set it to is I think what I'm going to do. Because like I'm going to leave it
Yeah,
on this week all the time, but like new people are going to be
yeah.
like, where are my cards? Because like that's a
Added
bad user
last week.
experience. You should opt into the strange experience.
Yeah, this is really cool.
Now you don't need to clear cards. Now you don't need to have a bunch of stuff or whatever,
No, I have a
And then maybe
problem.
you
I
operate on
see
the
a
next.
problem.
Well, I
I
have an
see a
answer,
problem.
but lay it on me.
Um, let's say so I come here and I see all cards, right? And that's helpful because I can see like what we added last week or prior to last week. We don't have to delete all the cards. I get the utility. But when we want to run the session, I really just want to be looking at this week's cards, right? Like I don't want all this noise. I just want to see this week's session. How do
Yeah.
I get a historical card to become this week's card again? Is there like a refresh the card button, a rebirth, a button for the card to bring it to this week?
A bump a button, if you will.
A bump, but yeah, something like that. And not that it needs to be a
So I
button,
was
but
thinking,
I'm more so trying to describe the problem than a solution. What do you think?
So here's what I was thinking. Right now, it's filtered by creation date. I think we could solve this just by filtering by
Edit
updated date,
Yeah.
edit date, and then have an edit bump button.
Yeah. Yeah. Or yeah. Yeah, or, honestly, I would just put what I would do is I would just put a little refresh symbol up there next to, maybe your arrows or something like that, or maybe even down
Next
at
to
the
the
bottom
pencil.
right of the card. Yes, next to the pencil, which is literally you click that and it just updates the edit date to today or something, and it brings it to the new board. Because that symbol also kind of makes you think like restore it. It's like the restore icon, and so you restore it to this week from the archive. Basically, is the way I think of that.
Make the app have a refresh button.
Sorry, I thought are you making a note for yourself, or are you vibe coding right now? Oh, okay, it would have been more fun.
I told it it was a great idea. I told it to start doing it. Yeah, good idea.
Oh, it's doing it now. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
that's fun. That's exciting.
I'll check it tonight. Good idea.
Cool, dude. Yeah, no, I love this. It's fantastic. And then
I think if I do that, I think we're good. And I might color code them too, where all has like this week and last week have their own color. That way you can know to bump the ones that you wanted. So there's a couple little things we could do here, but like that's pretty good, right? That's pretty good.
When I'm sorting by created, does it sort every column by created? So there's no such thing as manual sort here right now, right?
That is correct. Okay. That is correct. Okay. Which makes sense to me, because what the fuck are you doing moving your cards around, bud? You're cheating.
And when you drag a card, well, what I was thinking was like when you drag from discussing to done, is there anything on our...
It should do the updated edit time to include when it was dragged too.
Yeah, that way the most recent thing is kind of at the top, is what I was thinking. What I noticed, because if some other utilities, when you go to drag a card to another column, it kind of tells you where it's going to fall in that column.
Yeah,
Notion comes to mind.
Yep.
But this, for a retro, I don't necessarily think that is necessary. I just want to know. So when I click and drag, I drag from one column to the next. It's going to you just drop it in the next column, and it's going to sort itself in accordance with whatever sorting algorithm is chosen.
It updates it to the column ID, and that's it.
Yep. Cool, dude.
Yep.
Yeah,
I specifically don't order them outside of created and vote count.
When you click and drag, it's not entirely obvious. I might
what it should do is when you're dragging.
It should highlight the column that you're hovering over when you drag. Like highlight it as in like outline it.
I had the codex system do that, and I'm pending merge for that very idea.
Oh, wow, same page. That's so good. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I'm not trying to roast. I'm really excited.
Pretty good though, right?
These are just the things that come immediately to mind. I feel like we're on the same page. This is fantastic. I think you've done a lot of great work here.
I did 12 features on Saturday.
Oh man, dude, this is so fun.
I was just queuing them up, and then when it was time, I put the kid to bed and pulled them down, check, fix, merge, check, fix, merge, check, fix, merge. It was great.
Any improvements to the real-timeness of things?
All of it has been fixed.
Wow.
All of it has been completely fixed. A lot of the dysfunction came from assuming that the real-time alert was getting caught, but apparently when you delete something, there's no way to filter deleted items by board, and so you don't get notified. Oh no. And so I have it be like, listen, if anyone anywhere in the entire app deletes a card, update my board.
Yeah. Okay. Cool, dude.
I will get more specific when I have more than 6 users.
Well done.
This is feeling like a real app, by the way, in my opinion.
It's pretty good. It's definitely getting there.
It's getting there. It's getting there. I think you could sell this to an enterprise for $10 a month. I'm gonna have my enterprise use it for $0.
That's fine.
Because Easy Retro is terrible, which is why I bothered building this damn thing. What are you thinking about right now? You look like you're working on something.
Sorry, I don't know. I can't play with anything without thinking about what I would do next.
Well, you should say what you're thinking out loud to make it part of the podcast.
Well, just now that Uh, well, now that you have this kind of like vote set up here, it's got me wondering, if it couldn't look a little cleaner. But the only idea that comes to mind is like whole hog copying another app in the way that they do it. So
I'm
I don't
fine
know.
with doing that if you can think of a cute way to make it stay on theme. I have no, as long as it's
On
not illegal,
theme.
I'm down to do it. Well, it's got to look
Oh
like
well.
clean coffee,
Okay. Well.
like
Here's what I would
minimalist or
describe.
whatever.
The problem as I see it, I'll describe the problem as I see it in one way that I've seen it solved. The problem as I see it is that you have two vote counts. I know, like on the corner of the card, you have your own vote count, and in the center top of the card, you have the total vote count. And it's not necessarily, I think, crystal clear which is which or how that works. I mean, it is not
Ooh,
entirely intuitive to a new user.
you do
I
dots.
know that I know one app does it where, yeah, there's only one number and that number is the total votes and the dots are your votes. So that is
I
one
think I
way
like that
of doing it.
idea.
It could get weird. I don't know what that app does when you have like 80 votes. Like if it, you know what I
You
mean?
do a smaller dot 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 at the bottom to imply that there's more.
More dot dot, do
Yeah, you're
big
using
dots and then a little
ellipses.
dot dot dot. Is that really what it does?
No,
Let me see. Let me see what it does.
you know what it should do is turn it into emojis. Like one caret is 4 votes, and then a skull is 10. Or you do colors. You know, like boss health bars. Like the red is the base, then there's green, then there's purple, and then there's gold. And once you get through the gold, then you can work on the purple.
Okay, so let's see. I do this, and then I clear. We'll just delete all cards here. Oh no, I can't even do that. That's funny. Okay, so anyway, I made it 56 votes, 60 votes, 70 votes. Okay, we're north of 70 votes. If I come here and I just vote, 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 vote. Oh my God, you're right. You were right the whole time. Uh,
Does it do dot dot dot?
yeah,
It has some
yeah. You
kind of
see,
continuation indication where you don't need to see that you have 80. You have a shit ton. And maybe you
yeah,
could use a hue to indicate how much is there. I don't know. I don't know.
it
Um,
goes up to 5 dots and then it shows the dot dot dot. And what's weird is if you keep voting, it actually drops it to 4 dots and keeps the dot 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 because your count goes into the double digits. And so it has less room
your
for the
count.
dots.
Is there a number next to the card to show you
Uh,
the number of votes? You're talking about the total card.
the total
Okay.
votes.
Okay.
Yeah. Like if you came and voted on the same card, it would increment that same number by one.
Tell you what. Tell you what. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put pluses and minuses. We're gonna make that middle number the total card vote. And we're gonna put the dots up at the top.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's
Like
fun.
you're contributing to the total
Yeah,
number,
like bing, bing,
and
bing, and the
here's your
dots
dots.
going across is how much you've put into it. Yeah, that's fun.
That's gonna. All right. I'm gonna tell it to
That's
do the
cool.
dots. Make
Uh,
the total card vote show between the minus and plus, and make my votes show as a series of dots in the top center of the card. Great idea, Mike. Code. What are you working on?
message. It's handled. Done. You know how it is. Things happen. I was hearing like a boom, 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 boom. And I was like, what is the ruckus? And then I saw, oh, this requires a little bit of attention, real quick.
But so I've kicked that job off. It's going to be dope. That's such a good idea. It's going to be so
Great
good.
job.
Your votes are the little dots, and then you're contributing to the total that everyone sees, and I love it.
We did it. I love this new paradigm where, the PM says what they want and then the engineer goes and tells the robot what they want, It's like, I don't know. I feel like one of us doesn't need to be here. I don't know. It's weird.
Well, one of us can confirm if it worked or not, so we'll see.
I don't know. It's the future is going to be really, really weird.
Or
I
maybe
think
you
the
still need an idea guy and an apply guy, okay? And you just get more done, okay?
Yeah, yeah. I think there's room for all the structures, right? Like there are probably small enough projects, like simple little silly games and stuff like that, that any kind of noob can just go and do probably on their own and be, a one stop or a one person one man band. Yeah. And then you can have more complicated, or you can have, an engineer who just does all their stuff because, it's like very clear what they want. And, there's no need for any kind of like higher vision or something like that. An engineer has all the vision that's required. And then there's probably more complex projects that could use a couple people's thinking, and you have maybe a little specialization there. But I'm still a big fan of just everybody vibe coding in the future. That's really going to be the future I want to live in. I joked that I made a game. Asked the same friend I was talking about it earlier, I think. No, it wasn't the game. It was this app. I was talking about possibly switching to a vibe coded bean coffee board. And the response was like, no, thanks. I don't want a virus on my computer, which I wasn't really sure how to respond to, because I don't know if that's valid or not. Like, I don't know the security risks that come with vibe coding. Also, what I wanted to counter with was like, lol, I've, used a bunch of apps that were very insecure, coded by humans. So I don't understand how that's somehow better. But you tell me what the right response is, or I'll just ask ChatGPT to tell me the right response.
Well, if you were referring to mine, well, then
well, sure, let's start with yours. How is yours
open
secure?
Source. Mine's secure because I just make Supabase do all the work.
Okay.
And it's open source. Secure. And you can just ask Klein if it's secure, and it'll be like, yeah.
And you trust Klein to be correct when it says it's secure.
It would cite its sources, and I would inspect it if I truly cared, which no one does.
Right.
And then for a truly vibe-coded app, it's probably secure, but
why? And what makes you say that? What makes you say it's probably secure?
I don't want a virus on my computer. So there's two directions of security to consider. One is, if I vibe code an app, but I'm not careful, you, an attacker, could steal a bunch of people's payment information, and
right.
That becomes a problem, not just for me, but for you, for trusting me with your data.
Yeah.
Two, I vibe code, don't know what the hell I'm doing. I somehow connect to, they have MCP servers now where you can be like, oh, if I say this phrase, talk to this server to get that data, and those are not necessarily in your control, and they could be like, oh, you need help with that documentation? Here, put this malware URL in there. Put this malware payload at the top of the page. That should fix it. So, I mean, you could get a virus. I think that's fine to say what you've said. Probably not the first criticism I would have thought of, but it's not invalid.
Here's the criticism I think of, because there's this. I also have heard the argument of like, well, it'll never get there. Like, it'll never be like good enough or trustworthy. And I think like that's really silly. To me, it's like, I thought back to like the earliest computers, right? Like not necessarily the earliest, but like think of like the movie Ghost. Everybody can, I think, probably envision that scene in their head of like, the ghost is like typing shit on the computer and the guy's kind of freaking out. I don't know if you recall the scene, but those old like banking computer systems, it's like mostly a calculator and you can type some other commands in and maybe some text notes, right? And I imagine you present that to a person and they go and they type in something like, what is the weather going to be tomorrow? Like in plain text, and the computer is like, can't compute. And they're like, ha, stupid fucking machine. This thing's never going to be smart enough to do smart human things. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's like a very specific tool built in a very specific way, but that says nothing about, how like complex and capable it's going to become. And to me, it's like a similar thing. It's like you talk to like an LLM and you stump it and you're like, ha, look how stupid, look how dumb this utility is. And it's like, that is very nearsighted, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Think of that kind of analogy?
You're pointing out that, technology as it exists today is not, evidence that it's reached some limit. Like never right. Saying never is such a dangerous claim to make, on your side. Never. Do you know how long never is?
Right.
Like for you, never is practically like 40 years and then you die or whatever.
Right.
But like never.
Yeah, my never.
Never. Yeah, your never. But even your never, I don't know. I'm thinking that most of the shit people build is not novel, and that there are a discrete number of solved building blocks that, if constructed, with that in mind, can turn your application into a black box connector. It's like, oh, I'm going to use this perfect authentication mechanism, and I'm going to use this perfect payment method. I'm going to plug those in together with auth.use payment. All right, very good. Now those are solid. And then we're going to, so like you can, I think, build incremental foundation, and the language models are never going to be that good, but the foundations that are built over time will abstract the challenges away such that they don't have to be good. They can just be rapid integrators, or they can be delivering maybe something small, but all big stuff is made of small stuff.
That's true.
If you're trying to build the big thing, it's probably never going to work because of all sorts of dysfunctions. But like the way I code, ask for it to do something, I ask for it to make me a function that does something, and then I relentlessly hound it to refactor into being small and simple and whatever, so that I'm like, it's like you're moving, you know. People are like, oh, this LLM takes all the stuff out of my house and just makes a mess in the U-Haul, and it's like, yeah, but if you told it, hey, can you pack the biggest stuff first? Can you try it again? What do you think about what you did about that? Do you think you're done now? Oh, you're done? Let's take another baby step. You wind up with a pretty well-packed U-Haul. So we'll get there as the building blocks of abstraction are set up. We didn't have search before. Now we have search. There's a whole documentation searching system where it doesn't hopefully know the code base. It can like search the literal documentation for Next.js and be like I said before, transform English into English for the program that you needed to write.
Yeah, that's why I feel like it's disingenuous to argue against like their utility as, oh, well, all it's doing is making stuff up, because the LLM is like a layer now. It's like a single layer, and there may be multiple LLM layers, but it's like, like that's like saying all I'm doing is making stuff up because my brain is like responding to stimuli and just like, doing something. It's like there are like layers to my brain and the way that it thinks. And just looking at like the sort of like processing layer is ignoring like the ability to have like a memory layer and to be able to go search and to have a lot more resources at its disposal than just like, yeah, it's a trained LLM and it's predicting the next word based on its training, and that is the entirety of everything that it knows. It's like, I mean, knows is a complicated, sort of way.
I
Knows is an oversimplification, because like, does the LLM know everything? Like, no. The LLM is going to process what it has access to, which may be its
processing.
own. Right. And the LLM may have at its disposal, the only thing it may be able to process is its own training, like data, but it could also have access to other data that it can process, which to me goes way beyond just, oh, it's only predicting the very next word to say. Like, it may always just be predicting the very next word, but that is processing, and it may be doing that based on a much larger data set and access to a lot more information than its own training set, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of that
So
was intelligible.
exactly. Well, no, that's what I was getting at. Is like, I honestly, I would be happy with a language model that didn't know anything, like a genius that had terrible amnesia. He's a brilliant, you know, speaker, but he doesn't know anything, and he can go read a bunch of stuff and synthesize it quickly. That's all I'm using these things for. And I'm sure that's not practically effective. Something else. Remember when you actually got to build stuff? If leading your team feels like nonstop questions and no fun, Summerfield Consulting can help you build leaders so you get back to doing the work you love. And your team grows, so should you. Summerfield.consulting.
Gotta
It
love
just
that.
came to mind.
Yeah. No, when it comes up, you should say it. Whatever comes to
Hey,
mind. You should
what you
just
need
blurt
to,
it out.
I just had to get that off my chest.
Man, you gotta maybe send me, if, whatever, not that it's a script, but, let me know what it is that you say sometimes, and I'll maybe say it sometime, because that could be fun. maybe I'll find a
Let
way
me
to sneak it
tag
in
you
there.
in that thread you're in where I was referring to it.
Whoops. Oh, the text is literally in there? Man, I should read
Yeah, there you go. I
some
tagged you.
stuff.
All right.
That's pretty
Um,
cool.
but yeah, so you can
Transcript.
do the next one. You can do the next one. Not in this episode. You can do the next one. On the the pod though. So I was thinking about it, and I went a little over ambitious with fully automating clips. That's too much, and so I'm trying to think to myself, what is the littlest actual incremental change to process or to contribution to automation I could make?
Hmm.
What is it? What is it? And one of them, I think, was thumbnail generation. You know what? That's been fully solved by AI. I have to ask it, but that's AI now. What have you been thinking about the thumbnails? Pretty good.
This has been pretty good. Do you have it take in? Are you talking about having it take in basically a transcript of the call and then just generating a thumbnail based on what the call was about?
No, what I do is I come up with a fun title
Mm-hmm.
and then I say, hey, ChatGPT, you know how you generated that last thumbnail and it was dope? Here's the next title of the next episode and maybe some thoughts I had about what it should be. Enter. And then just as part of the process, me just adding, value onto the pod. Right. So that's one. Okay. And it's not fully automated. It's not end to end automated, but it's like a little bit of value. And then maybe I
Okay.
add automation and maybe I add a little more. And so the next thing I wanted to do was clips. And so I'm like, I go to Riverside, I click get transcript, and then I send it, and I have this prompt. I'm like, hey, don't give me 50 chapters because Riverside has not a good prompt. Riverside, reach out to me if you need a better prompt. There's like a couple serious themes. Please find the start and end points of all of them, and then generate a script to set this episode up.
Mm-hmm.
I just download the script, run it, and I've got a bunch of clips. I can upload them no problem. Whole thing takes like 10 minutes, right? With the idea
Hold on.
that
So
I can
so
keep,
your ideas you're gonna have the clipping happen based on the transcripts, and then you're gonna do the physical clipping, or you're also able to automate the
I
physical. I
so
say
so
physical.
my involvement is in bringing the transcript from Riverside and putting it into ChatGPT, and then
Okay.
taking ChatGPT and telling it, okay, now write me a script that if I
Right.
had this file downloaded would turn it into a bunch of MP4s I can upload, and then
And
generates a
okay.
little script for me. And then I run the
Okay.
script, and then the clips are there, and that whole thing took about 10 minutes. And I want to spend 10 minutes on that.
Yeah. How are the clips?
They were great. For example, I clipped the Bozo bit and the Attaboy economy
Mm-hmm.
section, and that's gonna be canonical. I'm gonna link that to people because it was just gold.
That's great.
I might even call
You're
that
going
playlist gold.
and you're gonna say. You're basically creating your own version of the like. What are they? Smart clips, smarty clips, magic clips. You can like your own version of magic clips. It sounds like
Yeah, though mine are gonna be longs. But
right.
yeah,
Magic longs, magic clip longs. I'm not trying to
yeah,
name it for you. I guess I'm just trying to understand like what it
putting a
is.
concept to the yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
mean,
What it is
what I
you're
would
doing.
eventually do is once I have the flow good, I would start automating the little pieces where my hands are involved until it's just sort of done. But you don't have to wait until it's
Yeah.
completely done to start getting the value of something I want to try to
Yeah.
stop doing,
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I built this whole thing. I used a headless browser to visit Riverside to
Mm-hmm.
rip off their hidden API. They have a whole API they don't expose, but they use
Mm-hmm.
their own API, and that means I can use their API. And so,
Right.
you know,
I think of it
uh,
as like you're cooking. You're cooking in the kitchen, right? You've got this like complex recipe to go from, a bunch of raw ingredients to a like baked good. And if you have an opportunity to take like your manual stirring and then, instead get an electric beater, and do it with that, like you should just do that. You don't have to wait until like you put the ingredients on the counter and then it just, a robot comes in and makes the whole recipe for you, the whole cake for you, whatever it is you're making. If you can kind of automate or augment certain parts of the process along the way, it'll be faster and easier every time you bake the cake until eventually maybe every piece is automated for you. Am I kind of following what you're saying?
and you get to have cake along the way instead of wishing you
Right.
did.
Right.
Is the
Because you
big
don't
is the
you
big
don't have the robot making the cake yet, so can't have any cake. Yeah.
Well, but
Okay.
so one, your description is accurate, and two, now I can emphasize, instead of waiting for it to be completely done, now we get to start having a little bit of cake. And like maybe,
Mm.
maybe I learned something about how I want it to be produced anyway, to where uh maybe I shouldn't have even automated it this way or that way. I can like actually be the human and be like, oh, ooh, wait, no, this is the groove. This is the groove you want to be in, because not all of them are going to be good.
Yeah.
So that's my next goal. I'm not doing magic clips yet. I think that's too big. I think I'm going to try to get longs. I was debating getting a second channel for clips,
Channel entirely? Why not just
like
a separate playlist?
clips channel. I guess you'd want the playlist. What do you
I would
call the
say
playlist?
spreading. You don't want to spread your audience across multiple channels, I would say.
I'm not popular enough yet for that. A bunch of people do, but we're not popular enough for that yet.
What would be the advantage to doing a separate channel?
They don't see the big one, and they just.
You're worried that someone might discover the big one?
I guess they would just click past it. It's not like they block the channel.
Right.
I don't think we're that
Right.
bad. Although I gotta say,
Yeah, no,
pattern
it's like
practice appears to
are we
be.
worried that the big raw clip will have like 4 views and then each of its little child clips will have like 80 views? I mean, I think about something like oh god, I don't know, any big popular podcaster like Rogan or
Rogan is what I was thinking of.
yeah, okay, that's an easy one. Plenty. If you were to look at his channel, you have whole videos, but then you also have many clips. And just because those clips came from the whole videos doesn't mean you have to go watch the whole video to get a little clip. And I
Well,
think we could
Joe
do something.
Rogan has a JRE Clips channel.
Fuck. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
why? Why does he separate the clips from the? Is it because he wants all the episodes? I see. That doesn't really make sense. Like I said, there's playlists. At least if
it's
we're
all
only
about
talking about YouTube.
it's all about the algorithm and discovery rather than the catalog navigability. Like those are two separate topics. Like you can get to it no problem, but like what shows up on the algorithm? I believe he's got a separate channel. I feel like you're about to check if that's true.
I am checking. It's really interesting that there is a separate clips channel.
There is, right?
It's more about
JRE
the channel.
Clips.
8.1 million subscribers to the clips, and then if I just do JRE YouTube, powerful JRE, this has 19 million subscribers, and I guess it's what, all whole episodes? But you said it's not about the discoverability; it's about like the algorithm. That sounds just stupid to me, though. I hate the concept of it. I don't know why you would.
Well,
Why would you do that?
I wouldn't split it yet because we don't have nearly the volume to even see if there's data to support one way being serving an end we have or the other. Like we need a B to do A/B testing. We only have like
Yeah.
one person listen to these. And this look at this stupid light in my face. You gotta like lean all the way back because the sun's here.
Separating clips and full episodes is designed to maximize content visibility and engagement. By uploading shorter, digestible clips, you can reach a wider audience and drive traffic to the longer episodes, particularly for viewers who prefer YouTube as their primary content consumption. But why not just put them all in one channel, reach a wider audience? Driving traffic to full episodes, optimizing for YouTube's ecosystem. Maybe
Yeah.
there. Okay. Differentiation for various audiences. Yeah. I guess to your point, we could always, I'd say playlists for now is probably a smart way to go. And then if you have, maybe when we break our first 1,000,000 subscribers, we can decide if we want to break out
You're
the
gonna make me
clips
wait
or
till a
something.
million subscribers to break it into
Or not
clips. I'll
even,
probably try it at 10,000.
to have a separate channel, you mean? I guess you could all,
I'll have a
it feels
separate
like
channel
diluting
when I
your
can
audience,
measure.
but what do I know?
If I can measure if it worked or not, that's the time to try it.
Yeah. That's the right way to go. That's got to be the case, right? They measured. They were like, oh, how do we get more viewership? Oh, we're getting more viewership by having a separate channel for clips. That has to be why you'd make that decision, right? You don't just like
Yeah.
do it willy-nilly. Okay, whatever. I don't
Yeah.
care. We can do whatever works then. I'm on board. I'm on board with whatever makes the numbers go up.
Oh, now that I'm right, you don't care. All right, let's so okay. So
I
no,
can be
good.
convinced.
So that's my goal. I think I'm just gonna make a playlist called Gold and just put just the gold in it. I'm gonna start taking the longs out that are gold. I'm not gonna do every possible section like this section. this is not going to go in the gold. This was not
No.
this was not gold. This was
No.
not gold. When we have this conversation the third time, it'll probably be gold, but like not gold, bronze
Yeah, not yet.
at best.
Can't all be gold.
But yeah. So that's where all that is. Oh, and the codex finished running, and it looks like it gave me dots. Okay, I'll have to check that out. We'll get that we'll get that released.
Cool, man. Good work. What else is new? Anything worth blurting out in the
What,
last
2
2
minutes?
minutes? Yeah. What's worth 2 minutes?
No, just oh, put an offer on a house.
Oh, man.
That hasn't been said on the podcast.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. And you've signed several things along the way, and we all razzed
Well,
you
I
for
signed-
That was fun.
I signed the offer, and then I got a counter offer, and I signed that, and then
Yeah, I know. You told
then
us
I
all you
sent
were
the due
signing
diligence.
for a house. I did a thing too. I was really interested when I went to South Padre in, because I'm not a birder, right? So this is things that like all birders know, but I just like taking wildlife photos. And so I find myself around birders sometimes. And so I'm here surrounded by all these birders at a birding center, right? So of course that's where you'd find some birders. And what I find is that they have a couple things set up there called drips. And it's where like water slowly drips into like a puddle on the ground. And birds really like that. They show up to it. They like a little bit of motion in the water. It's not like a fountain, just a slow little drip. And I was like, man, I'd love to set something like that up at home, like where I have my kind of little bird sanctuary way in the back. But, I'd have to run power out there and water I'd have to run out there. And maybe I could get like a solar powered system set up based off of a large tank that I can fill once in a while. I did all this, and before I did any of that, I just kind of looked up DIY drip systems, and I found the simplest thing fucking ever, and it's awesome, and it works so great. You just take a gallon jug with like a handle on it, fill it up with water, and poke a tiny hole in it. Actually, when you poke a tiny little pinhole in it, it flows a little too fast. So what you do is you poke a hole with a screw and put duct tape over that hole and screw the screw into it, and the duct tape acts as like a tiny little gasket on the screw. It allows just enough flow for about a drop a second. And if you do the math, there's roughly 15,000 drops in a gallon. And depending on the size of the drop, but a normal drop, there's about 15,000 of those in a gallon. And at 1 per second.
Standard drop, imperial
standard
drop.
A standard, right. Imperial drop, right. And what results in is roughly a little over 4 hours of drip time. So I can just set it up there and it just drip, drip, drip. And it's like crazy bird bait. It's insane how water alone brings them in. And just water will bring them in. But once I set up the drip, I'm really excited because now I have a trail cam on it and I keep getting pings from the things that are showing up. And I'm seeing new species show up that weren't before because they're like, fuck your stagnant water. But now that there's a drip, they're like, hey, what do you got here? So that's pretty exciting. That was yesterday. It took like 2 seconds to set up. It's silly that I was thinking about running irrigation and power out there.
My first thought was, oh, you should run a like an air hose and
Yeah,
have
right.
like stupid. What you should have is a rain barrel that drips and then it's just a bigger container.
Yeah, there's a bird blind set up at a nearby park, and that's what they had. They had a rain barrel system where they built like a tiny lean-to roof with a gutter that pipes down into a large kind of water barrel, one of those big blue water barrels, and then the water barrel has a little solar-powered pump in it that pumps to their drip system. I thought that was really cool, and I could set something like that up. But the jug thing took me like 5 seconds, and it'll totally hold me over for a while,
If that isn't precisely what I just told you about
Right.
my new thought about how to do this for the pod,
Yeah.
I don't know what is.
Yeah, because now I have a drip system, right? And I can improve on that later, but I have a fucking drip system. I don't have to do like a 6-week
Yes.
project to get it. Yeah.
Yes,
Pretty cool.
that's agile, baby.